Hello, I'm M.K. Davis. I want to talk a little bit about some history. When I say history, I mean as the years have gone by, we've lost a great many of our people who we read about in the early days of Bigfooting or even cryptozoological pursuits. And one of these people who I became friends with there in Willow Creek was Al Hudson. And Al Hudson was kind of the go-to guy there in Willow Creek. Most everybody went. He was went to him when they wanted to find out where to go, where to look for Bigfoot, or just anything. He was the man. And I stopped by Al's, and he agreed to an interview. This was in the year 2008. Okay, so there were some very interesting things on this interview, and I wanted to point these things out. And down through the years, people have said this or that about Bigfooting, and without having any basis for it. And I want to put this genuine information out there so that people can refer to it. So let's just watch Al.
Okay, you want to know how I come to know Roger, or whatever?
Well, yeah, you just tell me what, start there, how you come to know him, yeah.
Well, Roger, when I first knew Roger, the first thing I knew, he came through, and he was had a toy he wanted to promote. He was heading for Los Angeles to try to promote this toy. I didn't remember what it was.
A toy?
And, but then several times he stopped, and then last time he stopped, he told me that he'd had Hodgkin's disease. And I told Francis, I said, I don't think we'll ever see Roger again. Because her grandmother died and her uncle both died of Hodgkin's disease. Terrible death. But anyway, but he did come back. He did a lot of chemo and everything, and just about killed him, but he didn't make back. He came back, and he said, Al, he says, if there's anything tracks show up or anything, would you let me know? I said, sure. I will. So then John Green called me, and he said, Al, he said, would you meet my charter plane in Orleans? He said, I'm bringing a tracking dog down, and there's been tracks found up at Bluff Creek Mountain. And he says, I'm going to land in Orleans, but I don't have any way to get up there. Would you come take us up there? I said, gosh. I said, well, check with Frances, see if she closed the store all right, and she can, I'll do it. So she said she could, and so our oldest son and I went, took a station wagon, and we went down there and met them in Orleans. And then we started down, and then we got to Bluff Creek Resort, which was still open at that time. Or not, in those days, no. Anyway, they got some provisions and everything to take up there. And John said I loaned him $100. I don't remember, but he said he didn't have time to get his.
John said you loaned him $100?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember, but he said I did. And if he did, must have paid me back all the man over there.
That's why you forgot he must have paid you back.
So anyway, went up there, and of course it was way up on top of the ridge there at Blue Creek Mountain. There was a long stretch of road there, and the tracks went right down as far as you can see down there. And there was, but they said there was 3 sets of tracks. I only saw 2. And well, yeah. Anyway, we had we couldn't stay too long. They got there, it was getting dark, and they were getting ready to bed down and everything for the night. And in the morning they would go to the track. So anyway, we came back and we'll back up a little bit. The interesting thing was that we came out of our son was a teenager. I can't remember how.
Okay, Al's going to tell a story about the dog and the disposition of the dog. that it becomes an issue when people say this dog was nothing but a family pet, a harmless family pet. But he was actually brought there from Canada from a place called North American Guard Dog Services. That doesn't sound like a family pet. I'll let you know, I'll let you just listen to Al, the way he describes it, and the way the dog handler described the dog. Let's listen.
Only wasn't too old. Anyway, he came out, and we came all coming out there, and the dog handler just had a fit. He about went nuts. Here was Mike, had his arm around the dog's neck, and the dog was in the back of the station wagon. Mike was on the back seat, and his arm around his neck. But they were just loading each other up to meet the neighbor. And he really had a fit for the dog handler. He said, "That dog's a killer."
Yeah, your son was wrestling with him. Yeah.
And, but anyway, the dog, I guess the dog knows a child. You know?
Yeah.
And so, anyway.
That dog is a killer. That was the words of the dog handler, the man who worked with this dog every day. Now, whenever you travel with a dog in an airplane, small craft, you give them a pill, and it takes them down, calms them right on down. And, when you see the picture of the dog just sitting there and he's not doing anything, he still hasn't recovered from medication. But the words of the dog handler still ring out. This dog is a killer. He was afraid for the boy. Okay, now that we've cleared that up, and this interview clears up quite a few things, let's listen some more.
We went on up, and we saw the tracks, and the next thing I saw two sets. I did not see the third one. And
were they different sizes?
Yes.
One was a good bit smaller.
One was quite small, and they said the other was like a child, small.
So you missed the larger one. You didn't see.
No, I seen the large one, and the next size. I did not see the little bitty one.
You didn't see the little one, okay.
No. And so anyway, we had to come back, and we went down here, and they left the next day. They put the dog on the track, and it tracked it for a while, and then it lost the track. They lost the track. They said it warmed up and they lost the track. I really will believe that wasn't what happened. That dog handler was scared to death. He pulled him off the track.
Oh, really?
Well,
yeah.
He told me the night before. He said that the dog, the beast is going to catch up. The dog's going to catch up with that beast, and you're going to take care of him right now. And I'm next. That's what he said. And so I always will believe he pulled him off the track. The next day, about 10 o'clock, they lost the track anyway. So, whether, I don't know. I'll never know for sure.
He was a little spooked, though.
Yeah, that's my opinion. Well, anyway, but anyway, after they left, why, I didn't want to call Roger Wright then. When they first got up there, I thought, that's not quite right. Call him on top of them. So I didn't wait. I waited.
He said he didn't want to call Roger right then. He didn't want to call Roger in on top of them. Now, if you'll listen carefully, because this sets the timeline for when Roger Patterson arrived there and when the other group left. So let's listen.
When they left, then I called Roger and told him. And I said, well, they're probably out of the area now. But anyway, but he says, well, he says, I think I want to come down anyway. I've been wanting to come down. I'm going to come down anyway.
Now, you said Blue Creek Mountain.
Right.
I've often heard Onion Mountain associated with that.
Well, it's really, well, the confusion there. And it might have been me as well. Because John said it was actually Blue Ridge Mountain was where it was.
Okay.
Yeah. Blue Ridge Mountain? Blue Creek Mountain.
No, so is that pretty close to Bluff Creek?
Oh, yeah, it's just up above one. very close to the mountain.
Just kind of overlooking Bluff
Yeah.
Creek.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That same general area. I know exactly where. It's that same general area.
Yeah.
Now, he said that he called Roger, and Roger says, I'm coming on down. Now, the way the story is told now is that the first group left, and Roger came months later, in October. The first group was down there in late summer. But Al Hudson put some down there together, because what Al did not know was that the first group returned the next day by plane. They got a phone call from out of Bluff Creek, and it said, what you're looking for is here. And they immediately rechartered a plane and came back. And so you got that group coming back, and you got Patterson and Gimlin coming down. And then they all end up down there pretty close to the same time. Let's listen.
And so anyway, then the next thing I knew, actually, I just he one evening, about 6 o'clock in the evening, I can't remember, well, it's after 6, because I just closed the store, couldn't close the store till 6. And so he called, when I was outside, we were going to build a fire, we were going to roast some wieners out there. And so Frances came out and got me. She said, Roger's on the phone, wants to talk to you. And I said, okay. I'm going to talk to him. And he said, Al, I got a picture of the son of a buck. And I said, where are you at? He said, I'm down in front of your store. So
The son of a buck, that means indicated male, indicated that.
Well, he was just son of a buck. He was, I think it was just a figure of speech.
Yeah. I just wondered if it had ramifications of being a male, he might have thought.
I don't know.
Thought he saw.
But anyway, we went down, and so Frances said, she would give me the biggest horse laugh you ever saw. And I said, well, go on. If the boys were going to go down, and Roger got a picture of Bigfoot. She gave me the biggest horse laugh you ever heard. And we went down there and talked to Roger for quite some time. And
he was pretty excited, wasn't he?
oh, he was very excited. And so anyway, come home, and I said, well, what do you think now? She said, well, he either saw one or he's on LSD, one or the other. And he was flying high off the ground.
Yeah. Well, what about Gimlin? Was he excited?
You know, I don't remember him being so excited. And of course, I didn't know Gimlin. That's the first time I ever met him.
Yeah.
And I just don't remember. I'm sorry, I don't.
He just kind of was a little more subdued than Roger.
Yeah, exactly. As far as I know he was, anyway. And so they said, well, they had to get going. They get there and take care of the horses. And so, okay, we went, came home, and they were going over and get some groceries and stuff to take back with them. And I got a phone call. So McCoy called and said, Al, he said, Roger, we had done in forestry, and well, we'll all get together and we'll talk about it. So we went down, and I said, okay. So I went down, and we sat in the forest, one of the forestry offices, for I don't know how long, an hour, maybe two, and talking about what he'd seen. And then they left, of course, went up there. The next thing I knew, Roger called me, and he said, Al, a big storm came up that night, and which is right off the ocean there, you know.
Yeah.
He said, storm came right in off the ocean, and it was so muddy they couldn't get. They got stuck. The truck got stuck. They commandeered Charlie Whitson's backhoe.
Charlie Wilson?
Whitson.
Whitson.
Yeah.
Is that W-I-T-S-O-N?
Yeah.
W-H-I-T.
W-H-I-T-S-O-N.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well,
Commandeered it now.
That's right.
Just
Well, I mean,
crank it up, drove off with it?
well, yeah. Well, they used. Anyway, they used that to get the truck out with. And so he asked me. He said, "Would you go down and talk to Charlie and tell him that I want to make it right? Ask him how much he charged me and how much I'll pay it." And so I went down and told Charlie. Charlie was mad.
He was mad.
Yeah, well, I can understand why they did it. Well, he's mad because they use his backhoe without permission.
Yeah, I
What
can
was the guy going to
understand.
do up there? Like, I've probably done the same thing.
Did he live close by Bluff Creek?
No, he lived right down here.
So he had to come all the way to town to get it?
Well, no, the backhoe was up there.
Oh, it was up at Bluff Creek?
Yeah, it was up there. On a job up there or something.
Oh, okay,
And so
okay.
but anyway, they used the backhoe and pulled themselves out. And then the next thing, of course, I knew was, of course, when everything busted and all John, they had the film and everybody went up. I didn't go up, but Jim McLaren and some of them went up there to see the film. And but anyway, that's more or less what I saw.
Yeah. Well, you've seen the film or versions of it since.
Oh,
haven't
yes.
you?
Well,
Yeah.
John brought him down there the next Labor Day weekend, I believe, which was almost a year. And he brought it down and reviewed it down there.
Yeah.
But also, John came down the next spring with slides. Well, we waited, went up to the creek, a whole bunch of us went up there, and John would hold the slide up like that, and he'd say, Al, over there, by looking at the slide, he could tell where it walked, and he said, right there should be a track right there, and was able to feel underneath the leaf mold where the tracks had been.
This has been a year later?
Yeah, well, it'd been the spring, after about probably June, and after the
Okay, not a year, but maybe 3/4 of a year, something like that. Yeah. Well, I noticed that sand down there tends, if it doesn't get a lot of water coming over it, it does tend to hold impressions a long time.
Well, you see, but it was what happened was, Bob Titlis had cast those afterwards.
Yeah.
He left, and he cast those, and that left a bigger hole, probably was.
Yeah, and it made it even more, longer lasting.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's pretty much as I know it.
Now, what were your impressions when you saw the film?
Well, I was impressed with the film. I was disappointed because there were no facial features.
Yeah.
I was disappointed. But other than that, I was impressed. But that disappointed me. I was sure that it would be.
Did you feel anyway it had done anything to the facial features in harder to see or something?
I'm sorry.
Any way they blurred them out, or couldn't have done
No,
them naturally?
it was. I don't think that was it at all. I think just the fact that it was blurred.
Yeah. And that was John's copy, right?
Yeah, right. That was the first copy, I think.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you're aware of photographic copying, but when you copy down from a 25 speed Kodachrome into a 160 speed duplicating film, it's about 4 times less quality.
Yeah, I don't think that.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is, some of the transparencies that I have observed off Roger's Master do show facial features,
Oh, you?
and quite well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted, to make you aware of that. Roger made these transparencies off of it and let the film get away from him. I don't know, who knows where it is, but these transparencies are just so fabulous. I mean, they're just fabulous as pieces of celluloid. The images are just great.
Well, I know some people feel they were stolen. I know that.
Some people what?
Feel they were stolen.
Yeah, I understand that Mrs. Patterson was probably taken advantage of after Roger died, and these people had borrowed it or something like that, and they wouldn't return it.
I don't know. I think that's probably what I don't know.
That kind of thing happens. Unfortunately, and this is what I say about Roger, and as good a fellow as he was, that he was not a professional filmmaker.
No.
He was good, but a professional filmmaker would have documented every minute,
Well,
and nothing would be left unanswered or questioned or whatever, like it has been with him for the past 40 years.
well, you see, this is what I think about this book. Here, this guy that wrote this book is a detective by trade.
He's a professional.
That's right.
Yeah.
There's not many of us who are detectives out there looking at this thing.
Right.
And that makes a lot of difference.
Oh, it sure does. Now, what's the name of that book? I want to just say it.
The Hoopla
Project.
I'm definitely going to get a copy of that.
Yeah, it's We sold a lot up north.
Yeah, well, you know, professional people, and my point is, unprofessional people do and say unprofessional things.
Sure.
And you know, I tell people you can't expect too much from Roger Patterson or Bob Gimlin. They weren't on anybody's payroll.
No.
They went down there on their own, and they took a piece of film that will go down in history, and they don't have. They number one, they don't have to. They're not obliged to answer all questions. And number two, they may not remember everything that occurred in exact, because they didn't take the little log notes and write every minute down like a clerk would do if he were with a professional company of persons. You know.
And that's where this guy is.
He writes he sweats the details, doesn't he?
Right.
I've done the same thing in my books. I've taken depositions and the date, time, and place people were, and over years. And everything I do, I document on the same day with people, witnesses, and you know.
But what Roger did get done, and however he got it done, is irrelevant to me. But however he got it done, and I've looked at the thing well enough to know that it is accurate and authentic. He got a fabulous piece of film that nobody else has been able to do.
Well, you know, it's just like I saw a film in Africa. Maybe you saw it too. I was on TV where these guys was on a safari out there, and they were really more safari. They were out there on singing through the park and see all these things. And this guy, first time he ever had a movie camera, and he got pictures of what they said a wildlife photographer was spending his whole life.
Oh, I remember that. He got pictures of a group of lions trying to take down a baby Cape buffalo.
Yep.
And it fought them all the way over to the water,
Yep.
and then a crocodile grabbed it by one leg. They had it by the other leg,
Yep.
and the whole herd of buffalo came back and took it away from both of them.
I know that was great.
How do you do that?
They came back in mass. And they sat back and watched those lions defeat the crocodile and outpull him. And when he broke free of the crocodile, they rushed him and took him back from the lions. And the darn little thing lived.
The heck?
Well, yeah, that's right. But like you said, all your life, you try to get something like you never.
A professional person. I heard them comment because they had a show on National Geographic about that. It said it's every videographer, wildlife videographer's dream is to get something like that on tape, and to have this guy just happen to be at the right spot at the right time, and he was the equivalent of Roger Patterson for that.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know, we had an opportunity in Yellowstone this year to take something unusual, and it wasn't through. I'm sure other people see it, but it was a herd of buffalo fording the river.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I bet that was a spectacular
It was,
sight.
and we had a movie camera. We didn't move.
But you were busy watching, weren't you?
Yeah.
I've been to Yellowstone, and they say, you know, they had little warnings up there, you know, don't mess with the buffalo.
No, I know.
And evidently the buffalo are the worst for trampling and hurting people than even the bears.
Oh, yeah.
And right after we left, some dude stopped and got out and walked right up to a buffalo and stuck a camera right in his face, and the flash went off. And that buffalo pinned him up against the tree and worked him over. Like to killed him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have in my area, I know where they're at, just a little ways away, Buffalo Ranches, you know, and I see them all the time, but I mean, they can take you. And they decide to move, I mean, through the fence, they don't care.
Oh, I know.
It's gone.
They take the whole fence down.
They just go through it, and you can't, I don't care what size fence it is. They just keep pushing buffalo till it's over.
I know.
They're like a goose, you know, they don't think more than that.
They do what they want.
They sell the buffalo meat at home where I
Oh,
live
they
now.
do here.
That's no exaggeration. If there's a fence up there 10 feet high and they want to go through there, they're going to make it.
Well, I know they.
But one guy beat the whole problem. He got some big logs and made some great big, you can see it there yet. They go around it now.
I know a guy.
They get around it.
Well, I knew him when he was a kid. He's up in Bend, Oregon. He raises buffalo. Now I don't know what kind of fence he's got to hold. I have no idea. But
Maybe it's an electric fence.
but it could be.
Down in Arizona, down there, he may have been there down there, but they got places where they moved in New Mexico. The buffaloes decided to go to Utah. They want to go to Nevada. They take a little trip.
There used to be buffalo all the way down to Mississippi in this country at one time. They found their remains down there.
Well, they could have even been out as far as the Sierras, or even, no, probably not over this way, but where there's open country, they might be.
Yeah. Well, they had a species they call the woodland buffalo.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, they found a herd of them still living in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Only a couple of years ago. They thought they were totally extinct. And they found a herd of them. They live in forests. They're smaller, shorter horns.
There's the bison anxious, which has the longer horns, which I've found in the caves, who were the end of the Ice Age on paper. And I've got evidence of them right in my own area there in ceremonies I've found. I've found in the caves and where I've done some of my work. No one knows this stuff, but I've found ceremonies to the buffaloes. They had buffalo dance. That was not the ghost dance, confused. And was to bring back the buffalo and also revere the buffalo. And they used in those ceremonies, there were buffalo parts and other animal parts. I found where shamanistic remains remain today. It's still there, untouched.
Don, you were one telling me that the buffalo was a lot of hide and a lot of rib cage, but not a lot of meat.
That's right. When you see how big as they are, when you get the hide off and the head off, which is humongous, and the entrails, and the body cavity is large like a bear, it's about half the weight is gone. So if you get a 1,000-pound buffalo, it's 500 pounds of meat, it'll be lucky.
Yeah, once you strip it off. Or
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you might think, well, that sounds. But an elk now, an elk is 1/3 approximately. The head's a lot smaller. An elk compared to huge, but I mean, compared to a buffalo head, which is not massive. A bear is the same way. I've shot many bears and take care of them. I wouldn't say it's quite half on a bear, but it's. I'd say, other than being 1/3 of the weight, like a deer or an elk, it's probably nearly 40%.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Stuff you can't eat.
Yeah. Fat. Hide's heavy duty.
Oh, yeah.
Paws are heavy. You know, even a bear paw's heavy. I've carried out many bears, and I wish the paws weren't on there. They weigh so much, you know.
Are you fairly good friends with Bob Gimlin? You know him pretty well, or just so-so?
Just so-so.
Yeah.
Not really. I wouldn't really say it's we're friends.
Patterson really had not been running with Gimlin too long before the film was taken.
No. As far as I know, that's the only time I saw Bob until after a few years I saw him. Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't see him for all those years?
No.
He just came to town with Roger right after the filming.
That time he was here with him that night,
and he was kind of as a much younger man, of course, but he was kind of subdued.
Well, yeah, I think he just kind of stood back. It was in the background.
Probably wondering what the heck. I mean, this is a guy that didn't even think about Bigfoot much.
Yeah, I don't know what to say, but he was. But Roger was the driving force, you might say, and he was doing all the talking.
Yeah. Well, it's a piece of history. You're a part of it for having been there. Well, you saw their faces, look into their eyes, and those people are gone, and no one else can do that anymore. You know.
A lady just the other day, a couple of weeks ago, after we were moving up the hill there, and I stopped and talked to her just a little bit. She said, "You're famous." I said, "Oh, come on now." But I mean, there's so many people know me. They think, "Oh yeah, he's famous. He's great because he's." Like this one lady that worked with on the symposium, she said, "Al's a Bigfoot expert by default, just because he was here."
You know, I know two guys where I work, and they got in a fight. And they laid one guy off for 30 days, and they laid the other guy off for 10 days for being hit. He didn't even pass a lick. The guy hit him, he hit the floor, he got 10 days, the other guy got 30 days.
What are the cause and effect there?
Just for being a part of the fight, which he just in the way of the fist.
He's accomplice his own crime.
I guess so. So I guess sometimes you're associated with the event because.
Well, yeah. Well, like this year, they want me to. I'm going to be Grand Marshal of the parade at the Bigfoot Days. I'm really reluctant to do it, but like this, well, you're the only one. Okay.
What color fursuit you gonna wear?
I don't know. No fursuit. I'm not about to do anything that tends to lead to something that looks like
for you.
There you
I'm
go.
not way too long. I want the real story. I don't want nothing
That's
that's,
right.
nothing
I don't
that's
want
packaged up
everything
or Hollywooded up or none of that
No,
stuff.
no, not at all. No.
I want the real article out there.
I'll ride in the car and I'll talk to him maybe, but that's the extent. I'm not going to wear a fursuit or anything else.
Well, it better not to be called Hieronymus.
Al, I talked to Peter Byrne about that photo, and he gave me permission to use it. I understand that the TV Land is a company where it's going to be shown. It said it's going to be put off until October. The show that they were working on.
What's it called?
It's going to be TV's Land's Myths and Legends, and they're going to have Bob Hieronymus on there, and they're going to have me on there. Of course, we weren't together, but I'm going to be pro film. He's going to be pro host.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't know what they've asked him or gotten from him, but I've showed them some mighty good stuff, and it depends on how TV people are.
Well, what really gripes me, I worked pretty hard to try and get the National Geographic to do a good job here, but they want to sell film. They want to make money. They didn't want to tell the truth.
Well, they're not the same National Geographic they used to be. So, unfortunately,
I wasn't aware of that at that time, by the way.
They don't want you knowing the truth. That's the truth.
I think they do some pretty good stuff. They on some things, but when it comes to things like that, they don't. It's hard to do investigative work. It's exhaustive. It's a thankless task, and they'd rather have just people come to them and tell them, like Hieronymus says, "Yeah, I did it," and then they go over here, "No, he didn't." "Yeah, I did." "No, he didn't." And that's they don't ask anybody any questions. An investigator would, if Hieronymus said, "I wore the suit," he would say, "Where did you get the suit? How was the suit made?
Yeah.
Can I talk to the person who sold it to you?" Or but it's just, "Oh, you did? Okay, we got you on film, and let's go. We're here and talk to this guy."
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
So we're not really in the process of doing that. You can skip over some mighty important points.
Well, I've got a lifetime, and I say that, of investigating on my own. I didn't join the big community until 2001. 2001, I didn't join it, and I was doing it for many, many years prior to that on my own, and researching big time, full like I am now, pretty much, even more. And I kept close notes and everything else. But I'll probably die in a few years without ever being even investigated what I did by anybody important they think they're important. And they'll never be done because there's no pseudo-intellectual out there or anybody in academics who would have any confidence in mavericks whatsoever who may have the answers to many things. And this book proves that too. This guy here, I'm sure that the academics wouldn't even...
He did a good job on
It's
that.
a wonderful job. And what he has here, just what I've seen of it, is beyond reproach. Any mistake in there is an honest mistake, and it's not necessarily me to say that. I mean, just know what I'm saying?
Well,
Yeah, it is one.
the proof's in the pudding on
Yeah.
things like that. That's the pudding.
And this is a great, great production. And there's others out there very good done too.
I hope he does another one. I'm planning to buy that and anything else he buys, he makes.
Well, he's
It's $20 a value.
he's done some of the best work I've seen, as far as I'm concerned.
This cast right here, that alone, will match my cast, some of mine, and also Bayanov, Dmitry Bayanov's cast in Russia. That is he must have chose that for a reason, but it's very, the heels to me the most important. I just a month ago went up to Oregon to a museum and took a facsimile take off a cast that belonged to a person in the 1800s. They called Bigfoot, of course, it was a nickname. It was a man named Star Wilkerson.
Really big guy.
And he was said to have been killed and wounded, and he was. He was shot, I think it was 24 times to kill him. He sunk his hatchet into the guy killing him before he died. He was also a Siwash Indian, which meant in those days a person with no tribe who was a renegade, had a band of 30 men. He butchered many people. But he was so big a man in stature, he couldn't ride a horse. He had horses that led him by the lead rope for his supplies and stuff, but Star was, the names are interesting too. Star Wilkerson, they don't know where he got the name Wilkerson from. I don't know yet, I may find out, but no one seems to know. But he was possibly the same ilk, or similar to these guys here, running wild in the west up there in Oregon and Idaho and Montana.
Well, you never know, but
That's an interesting story though, but his foot, but what I'm saying was, his foot measurements in the heel proportions and overall. I wrote them down ahead of time before I even got there, what they might be. I was off a half inch.
Mm-hmm.
And his moccasins.
Before you got where?
To the museum.
The museum you went to? Where
I wrote it down prior.
they had a statue of him.
They still got it.
Yeah.
And I measured his calves here. I'm a runt, of course. He's a bigger man than me on the calves, but his calves are still meager compared to his. His were 22 and a half inches around here.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a facsimile cast. It's supposed to have been done from life take measurements at the time. I'm not sure it was. But it sure is interesting that we come that close on the foot, though.
Well, I mean, it goes back to what the thing is on the film again. Is there anything about the subject of the film that disqualifies it from being a human? And the answer would have to be no, because there are examples of hairy people. There are examples of broad-shouldered people. There are examples. See, that's why I say, if you're trying to make a conclusive definition, you can't really say it's not a human because there's nothing on the film.
Well, you until you have a specimen, you know supposition.
Right.
It'd be a shame to kill one to prove they're alive.
Sure.
Yeah, that's true.
They're so human to me, so close to that.
Isn't it a quandary?
Yeah. This guy, the first time I first met him, he said, well, what we want to do is protect him. And I just laughed. I said, I think they're doing a pretty good job with themselves.
Yeah.
I don't think they need protection.
Wow. It's obvious they have done it pretty good.
Okay, well, Al, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Would it be okay if I get you on here just for a moment here? Just for memory's sake?
Wow.
You want to sing for us?
This is Frances, Al's beloved wife, and they've been very kind to us today to let us come here and interview Al and visit with him, and I've always enjoyed that, and I'll miss this place. I won't say I won't be back, but I don't have the compelling reason to come back as I did,
Well, I have to tell you, the 26th of this month was 26. We've been married 59 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is
Like
magnificent.
every day a honeymoon, and you'll never go 56 years, 35 years.
What's a few years of that time?
I was married 45 years.
I've been married 31.
My wife died 5 years ago, but it was 5 years, 45 years into it. Which I thought was pretty good.
No, it is good. It is good.
So I appreciate what you're saying.
There's a lot of pressure on marriages these days.
Oh.
A lot of them don't make it past a couple of years, over half.
That's right.
Yeah.
I can't understand quite why that's the case, but I guess I can too in other ways. But it really is sad that people can't define love. And what love really amounts to is after the initial meeting is there becoming lovers, toleration. You tolerate the mistakes each other doesn't make.
Yeah, like this one lady that I
Allowances.
was talking to her a while back. This one, go back a little bit. This one lady we know, was married maybe a month and they split up. And like the other lady was talking about her, she says, you have to work at it. You have to be willing to work at a marriage or you won't go.
I've heard that a marriage is a union of two really good forgivers.
Well, I never heard that one, but you're right there.
Being able to overlook things,
Toleration.
Yeah, toleration.
Because no one's perfect.
No, not at all.
Not even me.
But you commit to that person and you work on it,
That's right. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Al.
You're welcome.
Okay, what a privilege it was to interview Al Hudson, and may God rest his soul. And as the years keep ticking on by and we lose first one then the other, I don't know if the up and coming ones are going to get the job completely done. We have so many things to overcome, and new problems that Al never even dreamed of. So, I hope you enjoyed the interview. Please pay attention to the items that I pointed out to you. Remember the tracking dog. He was not a friendly dog. They do give them pills to travel. A biting dog, you have to sedate them. So you see a single photograph of the dog just sitting there kind of out of it, zonked. That don't mean he's friendly. I thank you for your time.